Today we are going to change the oil on Kawasaki Versys 650 2009, and for that you're going to need your oil filter wrench and your 12mm socket. And what we're going to do first is, well, some of you can remove this cover. There's 3 bolts right there. One, two, 3. You'll gain more access, but you can access both things without removing it. Your 12mm bolt for the oil drain is located right there behind the panel, and you can sort of orient yourself because it's sort of where the muffler ends and before the oil glass indicator. Your oil filter is positioned right by the muffler, and you can see it right there. And you're going to put your wrench right over it and also just loosen it a tiny bit so that it moves out. You can now start your engine and run it just for a couple of minutes to warm up the oil with both filter and the bolt pre-loosened. You're going to start her up and you're going to run her so that the oil is warm but not scorching hot. We can now shut her off after a couple of minutes and the oil has moved around the engine. It's probably good enough just to let her idle back to the normal idling speed, and that's warm enough. If you position your container right underneath where the drain bolt is, what you're going to do is, mine is loose enough to be done with the hand. If yours is not, you can just give it a little bit of a loosening with your wrench, 12mm. I will take the bolt out by hand and the oil will start pouring into the container. Watch out, it might be hot if you overheated the engine, but if you just ran it for a couple of minutes, you shouldn't feel it, especially if you have the gloves on. As soon as you take your bolt off, the oil will start pouring into your container, and we're just gonna wait for a while to make sure that all the oil is drained out. And once the oil stops coming out, we're gonna put the bolt back on. While you're waiting for the oil to drain out, you can just clean your drain bolt with a paper towel that doesn't leave residue. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the filter. I'm gonna grab the filter with my hand and I'm just gonna slowly untwist it, and some oil will pour out. So make sure your container is catching the oil from the filter. When you take off your filter, it's going to be full of oil and sort of generally oily. I recommend having a plastic bag on hand to just dump it in so that it doesn't leak all over the place. And you can see the process now. I'm just going to take my hand and all you're going to do is tighten the new filter in. Afterwards, I'll use my wrench just to make it all snug. Once you can no longer tighten with your hand, I think I've reached my limit of how much I can tighten it with my hand. It's pretty snug on there, and the new filter is set in. I'll just give it maybe a quarter turn with my wrench. That's it. When your oil has stopped dripping, you can take your clean bolt, and what we're going to do is take it with our hand and we're going to place it back in, and we're just going to keep tightening it until it's snug in there, and then we're just going to tighten it fully with our wrench at the end. After I fully tighten the oil plug bolt, I'm going to use my wrench just to tighten it all the way. You don't want to over tighten it either. You want it nice and snug. If you want, you can use a torque wrench. I found whatever I can do with one hand in terms of tightening is good enough. It never came off loose for me, but by all means, if you want to use a torque wrench, do that. Take off your cap fully, and you're going to position a funnel right in there, and you're going to take your new oil and just keep filling it. And you want to pour about 1.9 liters of the new oil, which is the capacity with the oil filter removed. And then we're going to be just putting the black cap right back on, and that should be it. Once we're finished pouring the oil in, we're just going to put this cap right back on, and I've all I do is hand tighten it snug. You can use pliers or something to just snug it even more, but I find hand tightening snug is very good. And my oil is showing more to the maximum in between the two lines. Your level of oil at standing should be somewhere in between. Mine is closer to maximum, but this is also because the oil is settling in still, so don't freak out if it shows a little bit closer to the maximum line at first, but once you start the engine, run it through a little bit, it's going to settle below that level. So I ran an engine for a bit, and I've checked for leaks in my oil drain cap, and there is none. I've also checked where the filter is, and there's no leaks, so that's a very good thing. And the oil has settled at about half mark in between the minimum and the maximum, which is a good level to have. Anyways, Kawasaki Versys 650 2009, oil changed. Have a good day.